Come to order. We'd like to welcome our guests to the Ouachita Parish School Board meeting. Come any time that your schedule will allow. Ms. Mickens, you call roll, please.
Here.
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 Here. Here. Here.
Let's stand, please, for the pledge be done by Board Member Dabo Graves.
Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our invocation be done by Board Member Greg Manley.
Please pray with me. Our dear Heavenly Father, just how awesome and loving and merciful God you are, Heavenly Father. And we just praise and glorify you, Heavenly Father. We just thank you for this day that we have to come together as a school board and make decisions that's important to our school system and impact the children in this district, Heavenly Father. We just ask for your wisdom and guidance as we make these decisions, and ask the decisions we make would be pleasing to you, Heavenly Father. But most of all, we thank you for the salvation that we have through our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ on the cross, and just what a great Savior. We just lift him up in praise and honor and glory. And also we pray in his precious and holy name. Amen.
Amen. Board, we need to move down to the item number 6 to approval of the minutes, February the 9th, 2021. Need a motion and a second.
I so move we approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Look down to the agenda. I need to amend the agenda to add, under permission to bid, number 4. Need a motion and a second to amend the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second for the approval of the full agenda.
I move we approve the full agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Personnel report, Dr. Coker.
I'll have something for you next month, but good right now.
All right. Moving right down to business. Item number 1, special recognitions, Ms. Eileen Smead.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Once again, I'm excited that we're able to bring not only students but also faculty before you to recognize them for some outstandingness in our district. We'll start with, recently you guys all attended the Louisiana School Board Association's conference, the state conference, and we had some students who submitted artwork to the LSBA competition. We have winners here today with us, and their artwork, some of the winners will be displayed throughout the year at the LSBA offices in Baton Rouge. So we're excited today to recognize 2 of those winners that are here. Dr. Coker, if you'd like to come forward.
We're really looking for the day when we put more chairs in here and bring all these people back up.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
All right, I'm going to hand you this. Our first honoree today is a 3rd place honoree who is a senior at West Monroe High School, Miss Skylar Alexander. Accompanying Skylar is her talented art teacher, Mr. Philip Payton. So we'll give him a round of applause. Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Congratulations. All right, and we have a 2nd place honoree who's an 8th grade student from West Ridge Middle School, Miss Maggie Bedoit. I believe Maggie's family is here, and her father actually brought some her artwork with him to show, so we'll let him show that as well. And then her teacher is Lizzie Thompson, who is also with us. Come on up, Lizzie.
Lizzie.
Everybody should think I did this.
You got your mask on?
No, they don't know this.
Yeah, you are.
I actually think you're a turkey.
All right. Ready? I'm gonna take a photo. Congratulations.
Come this way. Dad. Okay. Wonderful. It's nice. Thank you.
Okay, next, we're honored to meet and recognize an outstanding coach from East Ouachita Middle School, Khaki Neck. Khaki, come on up. So you may have seen Coach Neck's story on the news lately, as she happened to come upon a person that needed rescue, and she didn't hesitate to jump in and help. Her quick actions and utilizing her recent CPR training definitely saved a man's life in our community. So Kaki's a great coach, employee, citizen, and our very own hero.
So let me present this to Khaki. It's a certificate of appreciation presented to Khaki Neck in recognition of your service and dedication to the students and employees of Ouachita Parish School and your heroic actions going above and beyond for the safety and health of a community member. Presented March 16, 2021. Really proud of your response and what you did in saving this gentleman's life. Congratulations.
That concludes my recognitions for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eileen. Moving down to item number 2, consideration and approval of policies. Ms. Jennifer Nugent.
Good afternoon, Board. If you'll look in your policy folder, you should see 11 policies that are up for your approval today.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve these 11 policies.
I so move that we approve these policies.
A second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no? Motion carries.
And there are none for consideration at this time.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks.
Moving down to item number 3, Finance Committee report, Mr. Todd Geis.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Board, in your folders and in your packets you received, you had a copy of the Finance Committee report. I'll briefly run through this and hit some of the highlights. If you have any questions, we'll take them at the end. But we did meet on February the 23rd here in the boardroom, and you have a copy of the attached agenda and as well as the minutes that were approved from November the 17th. So the first item of business that day was to receive the financial report from Ms. Meekus, and she's going to update you on that later in today's meeting as well to give you the latest information. We spent a lot of time in areas 2 and 3, which was discussion of staffing for next year and how it relates to VIP and the alternative school and just staffing in general. We were able to determine through several meetings with Dr. Coker, Ms. Meekus, and herself and some others that we feel like our current plan that we have in place for staffing will get us where we need to be as far as any budget concerns we have. So we didn't make any drastic changes to our staffing allotment and per pupil ratio that we had in the past. So we still have a lot of work ahead of us as we move into the staffing season, but that's our plan and our goal. Ms. Meekus asked the committee to consider a slight revision she had to the fixed asset manual. It was just an editorial change, so nothing that would require board approval. The Finance Committee approved that, and then Mr. Hemphill gave us an update on the roofing plan that we created 5 years ago. And that plan, the first phase of that has been created, or completed, I'm sorry, and Mr. Hemphill will be bringing a new plan, revised plan, to the board in the coming weeks ahead for our next phase. That's worked real well for us as a district, and we're very pleased with that. So that's the Finance Committee report. Mr. Hicks, and if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to take those.
And we have a motion and a second to approve the Finance Committee report.
So moved. So moved.
A second.
And a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving down to item number 4, approval of the 2021-22 school calendar. Mr. Todd Geist.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Again, it's the time of the year where we approve calendar for the next school year. A lot of work goes into this and analyzing and see where we need to make changes as we move forward. But the calendar committee met on February the 11th. It's composed of many of our directors here and principals representing each grade level across the district. We, like I said, met on February 11th, made our recommendations to Dr. Coker. We presented those recommendations also for the principals to review on March the 4th. So just kind of give you a quick breakdown on the calendar and how we came about making this recommendation to you today. This calendar is based on a 385-minute instructional day. So we take those days, multiply them by the number of student days, which in this calendar represents 170.5. And our instructional minutes projected for the year are 65,642.5 minutes, instructional minutes for next year. The state minimum is 63,720 days. So we are above the minimum. This calendar represents 5 weather days. So we get in a bind like we did this year, and hopefully we won't. And Dr. Coker has to make some decisions on days. He has 5 weather days, but if you realize we also have moved to one-to-one in our district, and hopefully on some of these days, if it became a necessity, we could shift to virtual instruction and be able to conserve those days as well. So this has schools starting on August the 16th with students. One of the changes that you'll see on the calendar that stand out a little different than years past, those will be full days. We will not be having half days to start the school, and the last day for students would be May the 26th of 2022. So I mentioned a couple changes, or one change with a half days beginning of the year. I think also one notable change that is our employees have seemed to like, and I think across the district, is we're asking you to approve an extended fall break, a little bit longer than we've had in the past, up to 1 week in October. So spring break is always, where do you place that and not interfere too much with spring testing? So we were able to work that in. You can see the last few days of March and into April. It will actually be a week later than it is this year. So everything else pretty much stays the same. So that's our calendar breakdown, and that is what we are recommending to the board for your approval.
Okay. Do we have approval of the 2021-2022 school calendar? Need a motion and a second?
Also move that we accept.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience?
I like it.
From the board?
She likes it.
Like it.
All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving down to item 5, approval of the job descriptions, Mr. Todd Geist.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Board, I'm asking you to approve 2 today. I think you had maybe 2 additional ones in your mail out. We have pulled 2 of those. So what I'm asking you to approve today, the first one is music coordinator. This has already been board approved. A couple years ago, we undertook a big project to make sure that all of our job descriptions were current and up to date. So this is one that somehow inadvertently was omitted. So I moved it to the new format, and I added some language, Dr. Coker's request, and I think a good idea, that this is a supplemental position. This is not a full-time position that is held in the district. So don't want you to think we're creating a music coordinator's position full-time. That is not what this is. But again, this is just an update to a current job description that you've already approved, or the board has years past. The next one is for a substitute teacher. Believe it or not, we haven't had an official, thorough job description for substitute teachers. I'm asking you to approve this so that we can include this in their packet as they come through and we employ subs across our district. So I think it's something that we need. So those are the two that I'm asking for approval today.
We have a motion and a second to approve these two. Job descriptions by Mr. Todd Gass.
Also move we approve the job descriptions as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board?
Just got one question.
Yes, sir.
Did, anything change relative to the substitute teacher description? Anything?
No, so this is new, Reverend McCoy. This is a new, so it's a new job description.
We did not have.
We did not have one, no, sir.
Any more discussion from the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, no? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Guys. Moving down to item number 6, financial report for January 31st, 2021. Ms. Meekus?
Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
Just go over the financial report. This is for the period ending January 31st, 2021. If you'll notice, on the first page, just a review of the fund balances. The general fund has a fund balance of $39,535,000. That's really on target for the year. If you look at the revenues year to date, the expenditures year to date, I think you'll notice that we continue to be very conservative as far as expenditures go. Just I know I remind y'all of this every month. This is a very uncharted territory that we are operating in financially. Our sales taxes continue to remain at the level over prior year. I think we're up on average across the board around 10 to 12% on our sales taxes, which is far, far from where we anticipated we would be this time a year ago. So we continue to be very, very conservative with our sales tax expenditures, not to commit money that we don't actually have in hand and accounted for. If you look at the District 1 M&O, this is our half-cent sales tax. The fund balance for this fund for the period ending January 31st, 2021 is $20,458,000. Of course, this is the fund that budgets items such as maintenance and operations of our existing buildings. It funds a lot of additional programs that we have, such as art, music, choir, band, some of our additional vocational classes. This is what I say, this is the fund that allows us to do what we couldn't do if we were operating on a bare minimum state allocation for our budget. So this fund has been allocated by the citizens of Ouachita Parish to supplement our activities to help us meet that gap, and so that's what those funds do. I won't go through every fund, but if you look over to the next, let's say it's right in the middle. The capital projects funds. You see the East Side Bond 2020. We have those monies deposited. Our projects are getting underway, so we have the bond proceeds of $21,795,000, and you see that we have begun projects, and as we go forward and put bids in place and start constructing, you'll see that number change quite a bit over the next few months. The 2019 storm damage construction, that's primarily the rebuild of Boley Elementary School and the insurance monies we received for that rebuild. So that will also continue to change drastically as Boley is progressing according to plan over the next few months, over the next year. If you look at the last 2 pages, this is just a recap of the revenues, expenditures, and the fund balance for the general fund and the M&O sales taxes for a 3-year period, month by month, just to give you a better idea of how the activity tracks in these funds, how our fund balance tracks in these funds, and a recap of the first few pages with a 3-year history. It seems to me this year is like any other year financially, as we're going through and we're operating according to budget. A lot of the activity and the conversations we have going on internally, we're planning for next year. So that's really the way I feel like it should be. Everything in the budget, the activity currently going on, you all have already approved it, already discussed it, already asked all the questions, and we're just carrying out the directive that we have. The current conversations we have going on center around staffing for next year, grant funds that we anticipate coming for next year, so that we're ready whenever those come through. But and we'll be talking about those within the next couple months as we start going over the budget and getting the budget in place for the upcoming year. I will have a budget revision for you all in the next probably month after May. In May, I had to stop and think which month this was. We'll be looking at a budget revision for the current year in May to get ready to close out. Do you have any questions on the finance report?
Do we have a motion and a second to approve the financial report for January 31st, 2021?
I move we accept the financial report as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Davis. Moving down to item number 7, consider the purchase of 506 Crier Street property. Mr. Tommy Como.
Crier Street, lying east of Riggs Street. Riggs runs parallel with the school. Crier Street on the west side has 2 houses currently on it, one at 506 and one at 510. 506 has come available for sale. We hope at some point to get 510, and in that point we'll have all the houses basically moved off campus. These houses are actually located what you would consider on campus of West Monroe High School, between the tennis courts and the ag building. So our goal is to get both of these houses at some point. We have an appraisal already been completed by the owner, and I think the sale value was $150,000. And I move that we allow Mr. Noah to proceed in the process of trying to get clear title and purchase these properties.
Right, and it's just one, right?
506 Crier, yes.
You made the motion.
I did.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Now, item number 8, zoning for Trenton Street Golf Course, Mr. Tommy Como.
This golf course was owned by an individual and leased by West Monroe City at one point. Several years ago, West Monroe City bought the golf course, and they have plans for developing it. The area that we're talking about is between Otis Street, north of Otis Street, towards and bordering Arkansas Road on the south and the north end. Trenton Street's on the east side, 7th Street is on the west side. It was actually never addressed in the zoning years ago, simply because there were no houses on it to be zoned. Mr. Noah's researched it, and he's found nothing that's definitive about the zoning for that area. With the plans that the city has for developing, I move that we allow this piece of property be associated in the zoning for Highland Elementary School as far as the legal description for a zone.
We got a motion for the zoning of Trenton Street Golf Course. Do we have a second?
A second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board?
I mean, how many houses they plan on putting there for the city?
I don't have the definite number, but the lots are going to be starting at $50,000 per lot. They're gonna be a nice area.
They gonna develop that whole golf course and the rest?
Part of it's commercial. I think the part along 7th Street is going to be commercial, and then the part on the backside will be residential.
Do you have any concerns about population explosion in terms of the school?
Now, Highland has ample room to include however many houses that go in there.
Okay.
Any more discussion from the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving down to item number 9, appoint architect for remodeling construction projects at West Ouachita High School. Mr. Slusher?
Yes, Mr. Hicks, board members, I'd like to ask you to appoint an architect for West Ouachita High School on the remodeling or renovations of the main building and to add on to the ag building at West Ouachita High School.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
Okay, I so move that we appoint Tim Brandon Architects, TBA.
Second.
Okay, do we have a second?
Yeah.
Second.
All right. Any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving down to item number 10, West Ouachita High School cafeteria roof. Mr. Kansas.
Yes, sir. This is the cafeteria roof at West Ouachita High School. We got, Stephen got 3 quotes, and I recommend the low bid of Southern Roofing to do this work at West Ouachita. The rest of the roof at West Ouachita will be presented to you probably next month to do the whole school. But this is in dire shape and needs to be done right now.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second?
I move we accept the bid from Southern Roofing.
I'll second.
That motion. Any discussion from the audience? From the board?
Mr. Hicks, I just want to make sure that the board is aware that this is still within the budget for this fiscal year. So we're still not moving into next fiscal year roofing projects. So this was money that was still out there, and a great way to actually expend that money.
It is coming out of this year's roofing budget. I'm sorry, Dr. Coke, I didn't mention that.
Oh, that's fine.
When will the work potentially start?
I'm sorry?
When will the work start?
Well, if y'all approve it, we're hoping they can start within 2 weeks.
Okay.
Now, what's the projects they're gonna be putting out, building on Kenilworth? What's the
It's replacing the roof on the cafeteria.
cafeteria roof?
West
Okay,
Ouachita.
okay. Any
And
more
it's a
discussion?
tear off and redo
Yeah.
job.
Any more discussion?
There was no architect, right? No need for an architect.
Not on this job.
We're pretty well going by our roof project as far as severity and need, right? That we're still. following
Yes. Yes.
Any more discussion from the board? All in favor, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Consider renovation projects report, Mr. Slusher.
Did we skip?
Yeah, number 11.
Number 11.
Number 11?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, how did I miss that?
This is another architect.
Named architect.
You got your
of
glasses on, I don't have mine on, I can barely see it.
Named architect of Onyx Parish wide, Mr. Slusher.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hicks, board members, as you know, we had quite a bit of storm damage in this last storm that come through, the ice storm. And we've had quite a few awnings and gutters that are, the ice tore up, and I'm asking the board to appoint an architect to oversee and do these projects.
Okay.
It's basically, I say it's parish wide, it's on the west side of the parish.
And go ahead and do the first and second, and I'll say something.
Do we have a
Motion.
motion to make the project for the architects here? Anybody? Nobody wants to name an architect?
We might have some discussion on it.
Yeah.
Well, generally, you got a motion and a second to get a discussion before you vote.
Well, I guess we need to move on then.
Whatever you say.
Ken, do you want to make a recommendation based on who would know the most about it?
Yeah, that's what I was,
architecturally?
that's discussion we need to have.
And then we can get a motion on it.
Yeah, I hate to recommend architects to the board.
I know you do.
But, based on the jobs that they've done before and on our roofing and everything, I would recommend the, Brian McGuire and Robert Ellis to be the architect on this project. Or, that's architect, what's your name? What's the name of it? Architect Alliance, I'm sorry, is who I'd recommend. They've done several roofing for us, and they've done a good job on every project they've done. They're currently doing Woodlawn.
Based on the work that I've seen on the Woodlawn and with the awnings there, I move that we appoint Architect Alliance Group.
Okay, do we have a
Second.
motion and a second for an architect?
Second. He did.
Did somebody make the motion?
Yeah, Scotty did, Architect Alliance.
Scotty made the motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board?
You know, I guess my concern is, you know, we start paying architect, what's the architect fees gonna be, Ken? We don't even know what they're gonna be?
Somewhere up, not above 8%.
Wow.
No, it's gonna be less than that. According to the new chart, it's gonna be quite a bit less than that.
Yeah.
Like 4.5%, 5 sometimes.
Bro, I thought it was 3% or somewhere, was it something?
We have the form, we'll look at the form and see where it falls on the policy that y'all set for jobs like this.
Right.
You know, and I even question hiring an architect for gutters.
That's my concern.
That's my biggest concern on there.
You know, that's my concern. Why do we want to pay for replacing an architect for gutter?
Well, let me tell you
You've got an existing,
Right.
an existing gutter up there.
We had
It's
one.
not a new
crazy.
addition.
It cost us $168,000 because we didn't have somebody do it right. If you go up there and you got some rotten boards, take a picture and charge $168,000, somebody would see.
Right, and the major part of this job is gonna be the awnings that went down at Westridge on both sides. And we have found out that when those awnings were put up, they were put up flat. There was no pitch on those, whereas the same awnings that had pitch on them at Calhoun Middle and Good Hope withstood the storm and the ice and everything. So it actually messed up the structure of where it came down and collapsed. And our guys, Stephen's guys, were over there, and they have actually demolished and taken all of that off. But we know that we're coming back. Bobby's in here, and just so that you'll know, we are thinking that because of all of the structural damages that was done because of the ice and the snow and the weather, that FEMA is looking at reimbursing at 90%. So that is a huge blessing for us on all of the things that are out there that we get reimbursed back. Usually it's 75% with FEMA, and this time I think they've made some exceptions to do a 90% reimbursement. If I'm speaking wrongly, Bobby, correct me.
The 90% Dr. Pepper is on the hurricane damage. This will probably fall in the 75%.
Okay.
So the 90% was approved from the hurricane damage.
Which we had some of that.
Also has to be some engineering work done on these awnings.
Well, and we're going to go back with the awnings that's going to have a pitch on them and not just a flat awning, so that we're consistent as we replace these.
So you're saying that you would support the recommendation to have an architect because you're going to go back with a different type of
For the awnings, the gutters was thrown in because I'm not sure how much gutter damage we have and exactly where all of that lies. But for the awnings, I think that we probably need an architect.
And some of the awnings are
to
at
do that.
doorways. Where you enter and exit the building, they were destroyed. I hadn't received a list of everything or been able to sit down with the architect. But that was my intention, to get a list of all the damage and sit down with whatever architect y'all named and let them look at it and then get a quote from them or a price from them.
Right, and this awning is not just a walkway awning.
No.
If it were that, I would not recommend an architect.
Is that where the feeding area or the?
Yes, it's a huge covered area on both sides of the school, from the band room to the cafeteria, from the cafeteria to the school. So it's tying in to the roofing systems and everything that, that we're having to replace.
Just like we did at Calhoun Middle School
That was
and
my next
Good Hope.
question. Are we gonna have
But
any
we hired
intentions
an
of moving
architect
forward
and
with
he designed that.
With
something similar to Good Hope and West?
Yes,
Right.
that's what we want to
That's
do.
what we're going back.
We don't want to go back with a
No,
flat
that
roof.
was-
We want the pitch on the roof.
Well,
Really cheap.
I can support an architect for the awnings, but I'm like Mr. Manley now, great, to have one for just.
Well, we just threw in the gutters because we're hoping whoever does the awning is gonna replace the gutters at the schools also.
Y'all better be
But
careful.
can that be an option?
I'm sorry.
We don't run it as one time as well, do not having somebody do the work right. If you don't put an architect or engineer, and they start tearing it down, brought it boards, you're gonna wind up with $160,000 bill putting it out.
Stephen, can we I know that you've been around and you handled a lot of this during the storm, the snow and the ice. So, and I'm not even sure how much awnings gutter work's gonna have to be done.
There's a lot of Calhoun Middle and high school off the roof, it just lays over upside down. I don't know what structural damage was done. I know the gutters are attached to the roof.
Right.
The whole above, Calhoun Middle's got a lot, Richard's got a lot. Good Hope didn't have any.
Claiborne and Drew had some.
Ouachita High School, I heard through the roof out there that there's a lot of gutter damage. His roof is just designed into that gutter system.
Well, and I think that's the key, is anything that ties in structurally, we really don't know the extent of what other damage is out there.
And like Dabo was saying, whether the fascia board has been damaged or not, we don't know.
Well, we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion from the board? All in favor, yes?
Yeah.
Yes. Opposed, no?
No.
No.
We need a roll call vote. I didn't hear.
You can.
Yeah, need a roll call vote, Ms. Mickens.
Mr. Coe?
Yes.
Ms. May?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Ms. McCoy?
No.
Mr. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Manley?
No.
Mr. Hicks?
I don't have to vote. Thank you, though. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Hick.
Yes.
Board members.
Moving down, evaluation of bids. Is
Number 12.
number 12,
Yeah, let me do that one.
construction renovation. I thought we'd done that, Ken.
That's
Yeah,
it.
all around
He didn't, he-
Still on.
I'm sorry to get.
I'll be glad to sit down now when you get.
Okay, all right, construction renovation projects report.
Should have in your folder a status report from TBA on Bowley School. Again, they met this past Tuesday, and the project's going real good. I think they've got all the slabs poured, I believe, even for the multi-purpose building, and they moved the crane around back, and they're getting after it at Bowley. On Woodlawn, we met this morning at Woodlawn, and they're going good. The biggest problem right there now is they do not have electricity in the new building. And part of it's our fault we thought the contractor would notify Entergy, and they did, and Entergy said that the school board had to notify them because it was our building. So we've done that, and this morning they called Stephen back and said that they'd do it by the 25th of this month. It's holding up the air and the heat and everything else, not having that electricity in the building, but I think we've got Dr. Coker and the principal and Scott in there, we've got a plan going forward of how we're gonna proceed when that building is completed. The other thing is the tennis courts at Sterlington High School are complete, ready to play on. That company did a real good job once they got started.
Yeah, I went out and looked at him, Ken, he did do a good job. They didn't bring but one net, though, they need another net.
The other net has been ordered, it hadn't come in yet, and Ken Black said he could put it up with no problem when it comes in. It's coming in directly to the school.
Any idea what kind of time frame that is, since we're in tennis now?
No, right now, I don't have a time frame on it.
Okay.
They done that ahead of schedule.
I mean, of course, two.
I'm sorry?
It was scheduled for May, they done it ahead of schedule?
No, it was scheduled. First scheduled for January, and then the first week of March. They put it in the first week of this month.
I was kind of disappointed, the contractor knew we had 2 tennis courts and he only bought one net. I mean, that didn't sound.
Well, they've ordered, they were the ones that ordered the 2 nets. They only got one and they installed it. And the second one's coming directly to the school, like I said, and what Jason has told me. And that's all I have, Ms. Hicks, unless y'all have some questions till we get down to permission to bid.
Have we had heard anything about the Washington re-roofing? How is it going?
Stephen, you was out there this week, wasn't it, Ouachita High School? Or Thursday, Friday? On the roof? So we'll get the architect to look into that too. Like I said, I hadn't got a list of all the damage, but when I get it, I'll sit down with Brian and we'll go through it.
Ken, we've had someone to look at all the schools to see if we've had some damage.
We do. We have someone to check all the roofs? Is that what you asked?
To see if we've had some damage, because I think Dr. Coker alluded to the fact that the
Stephen
insurance.
and his men do it.
No, I think my question was, as a result, have we looked at all the roofs and to see what the damage was as a result of the ice? We have.
We actually have a list of all damages that came in that we'll be able to put out there to the architect saying, check this, check this. Yeah, and some schools came through very well.
That's good.
But we had others that did not.
Our church didn't.
Yeah.
So we had all that damage at West Ridge and none at Good Hope. You know, who knows?
Stephen, back to Dabo's question, the roofing contractor has started on replacing the roof at Ouachita High School, is that correct?
He's almost halfway through, isn't he?
Any idea what kind of timeline he's looking at for his completion date? Probably this summer?
Kind of roofs are
He's kind of, this rain and everything's kind of hindering him because he can only take off so much that he can replace, you know. So that kind of hinders him some.
Those are, what type of roofs are those? What type of roofs are those?
Rubber. So rolled asphalt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a roof, and the roof that, we just put a new roof on it, and it was defective. And the manufacturer agreed that it was defective, and they hired this roofing company to replace the roof at their cost. So it's not costing us a penny. They're paying the contractor and paying for the material.
That's great.
That roof was warranted though when we paid for it originally.
Yeah,
That was a warranty situation.
right. Yeah, it's got a 20 or 25-year warranty, and it's warranted everything underneath the building. You know, if it leaks in the computer lab and runs 10 computers, they replace it.
Backing up a half a step, we were talking about the architect a while ago for the awnings and that material for the west side. Now he's going to the east side. How's that going to be handled as far as funds?
I'm assuming it'll come out of
This is
M&O
M&O
and then
money.
be
Oh, M&O.
reimbursed.
Okay.
Yeah, this will be
Okay.
M&O monies regardless.
Okay. I didn't want to pay for Greg
Right,
when he
Regina?
didn't want
I
one.
mean, all construction projects is out of M&O from an update construction standpoint, right? That's my understanding. All repairs, maintenance, and upkeep, it comes out of M&O. Of course, this situation, FEMA's gonna be reimbursed.
Correct.
So we do kind of keep that pulled aside in a separate fund so that we can pull reports to identify exactly what we're reporting to FEMA. And then, but in the end, the difference that is absorbed by the board will be out of it.
And that was my, that was my concern, M&O money being used for architect fees on gutters and on it. If it'd been a west side sales tax,
You wouldn't.
You'd voted for it, wouldn't you?
I could have probably supported it.
Well,
Just kidding, just
a
kidding,
little curious.
No, he wouldn't.
just kidding.
Thank you, Ken. Moving down to item number 10, evaluation of bids. Mr. Bobby Jones? You want to take these one at a time or all of them?
We can do them all at one time, Mr. Hicks.
Okay, items 1 through 6.
Yes, sir. The first item on there is from Child Nutrition Services, a Paroli walk-in cooler freezer. The recommendation is to Associated, which y'all should have bid tabs on all this stuff. The next item is a bid for some document cameras, some monitors, some kind of power towers that you plug stuff into, and some webcams. And I would like to recommend on item 1 for B&H. Item 2, I would like to not accept the low bid from Troxel. It was over budget. Item 4 for Troxel. Item 5 for B&H. And I skipped item 3. That would be from Computer Sales and Services. And then item 6 also from Troxel. The next item was some education kits being paid for through Title I. I got one responsive bid from American Reading. They achieved all the 100 points. The next item, and I put this in the letter that I sent out last week, the classroom book is not going to open until April 4th. I would ask the board's permission. These are standard books. They all have the same ISBN numbers. It's going to come down to whoever gives me the lowest price, they're going to get it. And I would like to ask the board's permission to go ahead and approve that bid and then bring that back to you at the board meeting for April. The next item is for copy paper. It's rather long. I did highlight the low responsive bidders on that one. And then the last item is for library books. I recommend on item 1 of that to go for Matkin. They only bid on bid item 1. I've received no responsive bids on bid item 2. And we'll see that I will have to rebid that in the next section. And that's what I have under my evaluations, Mr. Hicks.
Okay, do you want to not bid on items 2 and the other one?
Pardon me?
You didn't want to accept the evaluation of the bids on item 2 and which other one?
Oh, I'm sorry. Under item 2, it was just one item.
One item.
Yes, sir. And that was item 2 of that second item. And I know I probably confused everybody, but that item was over budget. I know there was a couple of other ones that were over, but that one was significantly over my budget.
Okay. So 1 through 6, you want to approve to bid, right? Evaluation
Yes,
bids.
yes.
Okay. So, all right, so we have a motion and a second for items 1 through 6.
I'll just say so moved because it was so messy.
I'm sorry it was a lot, but a lot came up at one time.
I'm gonna
So
second,
moved.
but I have a question.
You got a second? Okay, we have discussion from the audience. From the board.
I just have a question. When you,
Yes, sir.
you listed, I know Title I funds, but all funds.
Okay, when I say all funds, that's parish-wide funds, so that means that Title I funds will be
Right.
used, general fund will be used, and, student support fund. So all the funds, including the general fund and all the, federal programs.
Are any of these vendors local? Are any of these vendors local?
I don't know about Associated is not local, is it, Ms. Pereira? It's, but none of the other vendors that I got bids on, are local.
Did we send it to them, or was they aware of it, or is there anyone here that does this? That
Well, I can tell you from the copy paper standpoint, the library books, classroom books, the only thing that I could have gotten any bids on from local that I'm aware of would have been on any of the documents, on the electronic stuff. I did not have, I don't have anybody that I know of that actually bids or gives me quotes on any of that stuff here local.
okay, that's what I'm asking.
So Bobby, on the classroom books, you're okay with that one bid, right?
Well, I'm saying on the classroom books, I have not gotten my bids in yet. That's gonna open on April
waiting.
1st. But I would like for the board to go ahead and give me permission to approve those bids when they come in.
Okay.
They're just
I
gonna
thought there
come
was a
in.
problem with classroom books when you were
The
talking.
classroom, it's gonna be pretty easy.
Okay.
So my so moved also gives him permission to accept and us discuss later.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Conrad.
Okay. Any more discussion from the board? All in favor, yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Okay.
Let's do that too.
Yeah, we should do.
Okay, moving down to items of permission to bid. Do you want to take all these together?
Well, Mr. Schleicher is gonna do the new Sterlington Elementary, so I'll let him go first. with
Okay.
picks.
All right.
I'm sorry, I'm blazing out, asking you for permission to bid the new Sterlington Middle School. We've done the environmental impact study, that's come back, we've done the soil survey, that's come back. And we hope to be able to bid it by the middle of next month. Hopefully the second week of next month, we got a week behind with the ice storm. So I'm asking permission to bid the new school.
Okay. Item number 2. Okay. We have a motion and a
So
second.
moved.
Permission to bid.
I so move we approve the permission to bid of Sterlington Middle School new construction.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board?
Ken, on the timeline, you said the second week next month is when we're gonna actually do the bid, send out for bids?
Yeah, so that's when it will go out.
Right. And then when will we anticipate opening them? You have any idea what that time would be?
There's approximately 30 days, from 25 to 30 days from the time we run it the first time.
Okay. So based on that time,
Probably the middle of what would that
May.
put it?
middle of May, and, construction would probably start, yeah, I'm just trying to get a timeline, kind of from construction start would be probably sometime in June? June or July?
From a month to 6 weeks, getting all the contracts and stuff signed, and them on site, and construction is 18 months.
Right, so I've got a lot of questions on that, so I'm just trying to make sure that I'm understanding the timeline from that perspective. So we're looking at around sometime in June, early part of July, to actually start construction and put 18 months out, you'll be looking at maybe January of 2023 completion date. These are all tentative dates, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
One other thing that Dick, I forgot, is real important, Mr. Graves, we opened bids on, deep water this Thursday in the boardroom at 2:00.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Any more discussion about item number 2, new starts for middle school? Any more discussion?
Ken, tell Ross I appreciate all the work he's done on that. I mean, I know he's put a lot of time in that, and he worked with Marty and the faculty and staff up there, so I think they've got a great plan. I appreciate what he's done on that.
Any more discussion? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
We can do these other, we can do all these other, the other three all at one time.
Item 1 through 4.
Yes, sir. That
Okay.
large cafeteria equipment, that's for Ms. Carrero. The large cafeteria equipment for Bowley, that's for the new school. And then the library books will be the second item, on the non-responsive part that I just did.
Okay. Do we have a motion and a second, permission to be at items 1, 3, and 4?
So move.
Second.
In a second, any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks.
Thank
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby.
Your name.
Get them in there, please.
Board, our next meeting, will be April the 13th at 12 o'clock. Dr. Coker?
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Let me just give you real quickly before you vote to go into executive session or not, some of the things that we're working on district-wide. First of all, I think most of you are aware that we received $20.2 million through the ESSER 2 grant. That's to be spent over the next 2 to 3 years. 2 years, I believe, is what it is. This is the second. That's why it's called CARES Act 2 or ESSER 2. And so we have study groups and committees, 6 of them to be exact, that are actually looking at ways that this money will be expended. And so the committees will be doing their work. They will bring their work back to a district leadership committee, and then we'll make decisions on how the money is going to be spent. Keep in mind that this money is tagged to be spent within 15 or 16 different areas. And so we can't just spend it on what we want to spend it on, but there are some specific guidelines that we're using on how this money will be spent. We'll be bringing this report back to you. We're looking at getting the first installment of this money, $10.1 million, the end of March, 1st of April. Is that correct? And then the second $10.1 million, June, July? Is that when I'm, January? Okay. So we're kind of spending it in 2 phases. Now, this does not include the third stimulus package that has come down. And we are just now in the process of looking to see how that's going to come down. I have already seen some of the ways that this money can be budgeted and spent also, and it does not deviate from what the first and the second stimulus packages that have been put out there is coming. So we'll be giving you a little bit more update information on that as we receive that from the federal government. Also, we are currently working on our summer program. We are bringing back, and there's a catchy name for it. I think it's SOAR, is what I think, the SOAR, not SORE. It's SOAR into summer. And this is going to be a program, a summer school program. It'll be the month of June from Monday through Thursday. I think we have 17 days that we've built into this. And we're in the process of making sure that we get the information out to our parents and our students. And it is a kindergarten through 8th grade program. And it's just it can be an acceleration type program. It can be a program that we are instilling and putting in our English language arts and our math. But we're also going to go beyond that. We're hiring PE teachers and art teachers and choir teachers and band teachers, the arts, and we're also going to be incorporating that into this June SOAR program for our students. And so that's something that we've not done. We are using stimulus money to pay the teachers for being able to run this. So we're excited about what we have coming up in the summer. And then finally, I have put together with the help of Todd and Curtis Pate, some focus groups on what is our virtual program going to look like next year. And so as we are putting these focus groups together, we have, once again, a district leadership team that's going to be comprised of not only district people, but school personnel that's out there. And we've got a very good array of folks across the district that's going to be serving on these committees. But even more than that, we're going to be having focus groups, Zoom meetings with elementary teachers that have taught virtual programs, middle school teachers who have taught the virtual, and high school teachers. So 3 different focus group areas, because I need to hear, and this committee needs to hear from our teachers who have been on the front line exactly what do we need to change? Do we need to change a new LMS, which is a learning management system? Do we need to have more guidelines in order for our students to be successful and to follow? And so that is a huge undertaking in itself on what our virtual program is going to look like next year. I don't see it going away. I do seeing it reducing the numbers, because hopefully we're going to be able to get a little bit more normal back into the school setting. And we do believe, we've always felt that our kids will learn better with that daily face-to-face instruction. I don't think virtual is a replacement for all of our kids out there that have been in this virtual setting. And so we're going to do our best to make sure that we still have the mitigating factors and making it safe for our students. But we're hoping that trend is that we have more of our kids coming back face-to-face. And so these are 3 major groups that are working right now. And we'll be keeping you updated and informed as to our progress, and having you even pass some of the various policies that's going to be in line with implementing some of the programs that we have coming. So that's what we have that's going on. We got some folks working, and they're not only working in the schools, but they're also doing some of these extra things that we've asked them to step up and to help us out with. Any questions?
I have one. How soon will we know the areas that this money can be spent, that you were talking about in item number 1 that you?
We pretty much know those right now.
Like, will carpet and flooring and that stuff be included?
That's a question that we would have to ask, because if it is a safety concern, I've not seen anywhere where that specifically has been put out there. A lot of the safety features are going to be more in the ventilation, HVAC, air conditioning. I know that Regina and Stephen I actually formed this 6th committee for that particular purpose. And we're going to have some big decisions to make that we'll be bringing back to you on our recommendations on how this money will be spent. But they are actually looking at the safety protocols and what can we do within an HVAC, and are we going to use what's the lighting that's UV lighting to help with filtration processes. But I've not seen carpet removal yet.
Okay.
If we can justify it though,
Well, that's what I
and
was
put it
asking.
down there,
I know some that
then
already wanted
I
carpet.
can tell you as a principal, I didn't want any carpet in my school because
I didn't either.
of the upkeep of what had to go on with that. So, it's some good things that are happening. It's a lot of work that's going on, but we'll certainly be keeping you updated as we progress toward that. Any other questions that you might have? You're supposed to ask, well, how much is a third stimulus is going to be?
Well, I know you don't know that. I think I've already asked that.
We have an idea. They're actually telling us that it could be twice the amount that we got in the second, or possibly the first and second combined. So if that is the case, it could be $48 to $50 million more that would be coming down the road, not knowing the time frame on when it would have to be spent.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
It's going to be imperative that we spend that money wisely.
That's correct.
I appreciate you forming those committees to make sure we're doing that.
Well, and one of the things that we have to look at as a district is sustainability. What can we sustain when the money is no longer there? And we know that there are some things that we're going to be able to sustain, but there are others that there's no way that we're going to have the money to be able to do that. And so those one-time purchases are going to be critical that we do it correctly, because we can't just expect this to keep coming in, as it is. So, again, a lot of decisions we made in the next several months, and we will keep you informed on where we are with it.
Doc, as far as broadband, wideband internet service for the whole parish and students out in the rural areas, is that going to fall under the school board's responsibility, or is that some other municipality, police, jury, or do you have any idea who's going to take that mantle and run with it?
That's a really good question. Clint, you want to talk to him a little bit about that? Clint Miller is actually our chairman over all of these millions, so if he don't do a really good job with this, and he is in an interim position right now, no, Clint has done a fantastic job of taking and leading in this process, and we certainly appreciate that. But
so there's differing opinions on that. There's been kind of some guidance from the state on what they would like us to do. My opinion is that should not be something that falls under us. I think that really kind of falls more under the Public Service Commission. There are things that we can do and things that I intend to do as part of this to help facilitate, gather information, gather data, because I don't know that anybody truly has a good handle on the data that says this many households in Ouachita Parish don't have internet or do have internet, don't have it available. If it's not in the household, is it because the household can't afford it, but it is available? Is it because it's just not available? Because we all know there's a lot of areas in our district that you don't, out in the sticks, whether it's Sterlington area, whether it's, deep South Richwood area, whether it's the West Ouachita area, there's a lot of areas that, we pipe in sunshine. So you can't get a cell signal even. So even the hot spots are not necessarily usable there. So the main question you asked was, can some of this money be spent for that? It could, but I don't think you could even make a dent in the need. So I think there's some other ways to use, if it's not the money, use the committees and some of what we're doing to try to address and facilitate some of that.
I would just also add on that, and I think Clint hit it exactly, there's not enough money there to put into infrastructure. But there is money there that we can put access points in every school that we have where parents, students, whatever, can drive into a parking lot and get immediate access to internet or what have you. And so we've made those efforts with the first CARES money that we are, and hopefully by this summer we will have every school in our district with access points in it. And some of the larger schools, maybe more than one access point, okay, which immediately gives them access to the internet. We do have hotspots that we have put out to students who are, and they are working somewhat, and in some we're having some trouble with. But as far as us using the money that's given to us for the infrastructure, it wouldn't be a drop in the bucket for what we could do on things that we know that we need.
I think Clint brought a good point. I'm hoping the state's gonna work with the Public Service Commissioner and maybe come up with a plan to maybe increase the access statewide.
I will say, as far as just for households that have access available to them but may not be able to afford it, some other arms of the federal government through the FCC and some of the Universal Service Commission, they have actually, I don't know if the law has been fully put into effect or not, but basically when everything's in place, any family that meets your typical lower income, whether it's being eligible for SNAP, for welfare, free and reduced lunch, those different things, I believe they will be eligible to receive up to a $50 per month credit for home internet. So as soon as I have full information on some of those things, part of what I would like to do as we move forward with this is make sure that all of the families and households in our district have that information. Because we know there's a lot of programs and a lot of things that the government pushes down, but if households don't know about them, they can't take advantage of them. So hopefully some of that information, once we have all of it, we can disseminate as well to help the
Right,
folks in the community.
and there are other pots of money out there. The governor has his group, his set of money that's called GEARS funding. And that's, I mean, I think that his intent is to put that in broadband, put it into infrastructure. And, you know, as this other is being funneled down into the state continues to get more money to be used for that area too.
Sorry I brought the topic up, Clint.
That's right. Thank y'all.
Ms. Hicks?
I did have a question.
Okay.
I received a letter from an anonymous writer indicating that a neighboring district had given some type of bonus to their employees and was questioning whether or not our district was going to do anything similar to that. And I apologize, I didn't mention it to you yesterday.
No, that's fine. I got the same letter.
Did you?
Yeah, and that is, I think what our employees need to remember on this also is that in January, when we gave out the $1,000 and the $400, that has been a budgeted item that districts around us do not give. And so that's coming out of general fund, out of M&O to pay salaries. I would love to be able to see if we had some extra money, and Regina and the Finance Committee will certainly be looking at this, to be able to give and I think that some of the districts are doing a one-time bonus, and they're calling it a one-time COVID bonus is what I believe it is. And certainly we are looking to see if there's anything that we can do down the road to be able to do that. But that'll be vetted through the Finance Committee to make sure that the money is going to be there to be able to do that for our employees. But are they deserving? Certainly they're deserving.
I would like to add to that, that is not an allowable cost in the current grant that we've been awarded to date. So we are exploring, like Coker said, with the general fund and other avenues that we may have, but it's not allowable in the current funding.
So you assume that the other districts took it from somewhere that's
allowed? I'm hearing surplus is what I'm hearing.
So basically, I think Harold's question and mine too was, I think the person, and we want to make sure, Doc, that there's no part in that stimulus plan for salary restoration for employees.
Not that can be used. Now there is,
salary.
Not for salary, that is
Okay,
correct.
That's my question.
That is correct.
So the person that wrote the letter was unaware that we had money we should have been giving out to the employees.
With the exception of using our summer school, because we're using the CARES money, but these are people that are working for that money. It is not a bonus. It is $30 an hour that they're working for, that they're receiving their compensation. You can use the extra monies for that. You can't use it for any back pay on things that have been done in the past. But anything going forward, which is the reason we're going to be able to have our summer school, the SOAR program for kindergarten through 8th grade. That's coming out of CARES money to pay our teachers and employees, bus drivers, cafeteria, what have you, to be able to work those extra hours.
Do you think the $30 an hour is going to be enough to entice teachers to work after the rough year we've had?
We actually did a survey, and we had 350 to 375 teachers that said yes, they would be interested in teaching. And I think that would be more than enough to handle the students that we might have. We'll see. But that's under our policy right now. Any other questions? I wish I hadn't asked that. I'm picking. All right, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Moving back up to item, number 13, consider appeal of a student expulsion hearing in the matter of JC and on behalf of a minor's child, GC. All of a portion of this item may be in executive session pursuant to LARS 4217. So with that, I need a motion and a second to go into executive session.
So move.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Ms. Meeks, you call roll, please.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes. And audience, we will be back if, but our meeting is over per se, so, but you're welcome to stay until we get back, but thank y'all for coming.